Hello, everybody. Welcome to our show. Janice Sanders and I are doing our new show, which is called The Art of Planting Your Life. This show is about how to use the seed planting method as DCI, the Diamond Cutter Institute, teaches, and how to apply it to our business and to our personal life. My name is Alix Rowland, and I'm broadcasting today from Durango, Colorado. And this is my co-host.
I'm Janice Sanders. Yeah, I'm Janice Sanders, and I'm broadcasting from Silverton, Colorado, which is high in the mountains at 9,300 feet.
We're not together today because right now there's a pandemic going on. So whether you're watching this in the future or you're watching it today, that is going to be part of our topic today, but we really want to focus on business relationships. And I asked Janice if she would start us off on our very first episode, because she does a great job of very intentionally creating wonderful employee relationships. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that, and Janice is going to help us with some of the ways that she's been able to do that.
Thanks, Alix. Mm-hmm. Yeah, every year I have seasonal businesses, so it's a little bit more challenging than if I had year-round professional employees. But my business is retail, and when I need retail employees, I need them 6, maybe 8 months a year, and then they're off for 4 months. So it works really good for people, young people who want to travel and expand their lives that way. But I need reliable people. So I've had the opportunity to use the seed system to plant my employees.
So every year I hear the same thing from Janice come around Christmas time. She's like, how am I going to make sure that I have employees for my next season? So that's going to be the topic. And Janice is going to tell us how she's used the 4 steps and some specific ways that she's been able to do that. But before we talk about how to use the 4 steps of the Diamond Cutter system, we have to understand the foundation tool of the pen. Most of you already know about the pen, I think, but we thought in this very first video, we wanted to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to hear it once in a thorough way. And as you all know, if you've heard it before, we have to hear it again and again to really understand it, because it gives us the opportunity to think about the world in a really different way from the way we normally do. Right. So I'll ask some questions. Janice is going to help with answers, and you can answer out there as well. So there's no tricks to these questions. You can just give a straightforward answer. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What is this thing?
It's a pen.
That's right. Now, if I call my dog into the room and hold it out to them, what's the dog going to do?
I think they're going to bite on it. That's what my dog would do.
They might bite it. They might see it as a chew toy. So who's right? Is this a pen or a chew toy?
I think they're both right. Yeah, they're both right.
Mm-hmm. They are both right. I'm right because I can write with it a letter to my boyfriend, and my dog can have a really good time chewing on it. So it works for both of us.
Right.
Now, this is the important part of the pen presentation, which makes everything possible in the Diamond Cutter system. If I set this pen here on the table, let's pretend my hand is a table. There it is. And we all go out. I leave the room. The dogs leave the room. The flies leave the room. The room is completely empty. At that time, what is this thing?
I think it would be available.
That's right. It's available. We really can't say because there's no one looking at the pen at that time. And that is what emptiness is. It's no more complicated than that. You maybe have heard of this term emptiness before. It just means that it's available like a blank screen. So if I walk back into the room and I look at this thing, at that time, what does it become for me?
A pen.
That's right. When I look at it, I see a pen. So if a dog comes in and looks at it, what do you think the dog will see?
The dog's going to see something to chew on.
Right. So if the dog and I both walk in together, there's two realities going on. The dog sees a pen. No, I see a pen. I'm getting confused about who the dog is. The dog sees a chew toy. I see a pen, and that's not a problem. In fact, that's the way our world is always working, right? We're all seeing different things from different angles and from our own perspective. So that's not a problem. Two realities going on at the same time. Can we say then, knowing that it depends on who's looking at it, that the penness of it is coming this way, or is it coming this way? Janice is going to show us with her hand.
Well, it has to be coming from me, from you, from your mind, because the dog doesn't see a pen. So it has to come from you, right?
That's right. So it's coming from me because I see a pen. I see a gold Sharpie. So if it's coming from me, the next question is, if this pen is coming from me, then can't I make it anything I want? I should be able to. It's coming from me. Well, let's see. Okay. I would like a big diamond. Then I could sell it and share it with everybody, or split it up and share it with everybody because it's so big. So let's try. We'll close our eyes. We'll use positive thinking. We'll use visualization, prayers, whatever method you want to try. Okay, let's all close our eyes. I'm picturing a pen in my hand. We'll count to 3, and when we open our eyes, it'll be a diamond.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. It's not. It's still a pen. In the diamond cutter system, we say there's something else going on here. It's not just what we want, because we all want things and we don't always get them, right? That's not just wanting or wishing isn't what makes things what they are for us. So in the diamond cutter system, we say that what we did in the past plants a seed, like makes an impression on our mind, and it later comes out onto the things around us, and it makes our perception of a pen. This is a really important foundation concept in the diamond cutter system because it means that things around us are blank, like when the pen was sitting by itself in the room. And that blank screen is what makes it possible for us to choose our actions and create different projections in the future.
Ooh, I like that.
That's the whole concept behind being able to use the 4 steps. And now we're going to ask Janice to give us some more information about what the 4 steps are and how she's used them to plant great employees year after year.
Okay. Thank you, Alix. That was awesome. I really like hearing about the pen because it took me a long time to actually realize it's not just the pen that's coming from me, it's my entire reality. So if I really understand deeply what this means, if I'm planting my reality all the time by what I think, do, and say, then I can start thinking, watching myself, thinking different thoughts, saying different words, and doing different actions that's going to create a result for a better week next week. And that's where the 4 steps comes in. The 4 steps are simple. The first step is to decide what it is that you want in one short, clear sentence. And for me, that is, I want really awesome employees. And I want them every year. In fact, I'd like them to come back every year. So I want good employees. My second step, find someone else who wants what I want and help them to get their needs met. Help them to find employees. And then the third step, this is tricky. You can think about it all the time, but then you really actually have to do something. You have to do something. So you have to meet with that person theoretically 1 time a week. And what I meant theoretically is you meet them in a coffee shop or some other place that's really comfortable for both of you. And that's the 3 steps to getting your employees. Alix.
Is there a 4th step?
There is. And this is the most important. This is how you water those seeds so they get strong and fat and ripen quickly. Every night before I go to bed, I do coffee meditation. And it doesn't mean I drink coffee at night. We just call it coffee meditation because generally in the morning I get up and have coffee and I'm really relaxed having my coffee. It's just simply relaxing and reviewing the good things that you do that day. And for this one, since I want employees and I want it to ripen this year, not next year, I do my coffee meditation right before bed. I get in a relaxed posture, not in a full lotus. I just kind of lean back or get really comfortable in daydream position. And I daydream about meeting that person and talking about ways that we can get employees and how to do it, and just review how excited they are to get to go out to a coffee shop and talk about something that we both need. And I just really, really feel it and take joy in their happiness and in my happiness. And when I review the good things that I've done or seen other people do, it waters those seeds so they'll ripen quickly. Just like if you put spinach seeds in the garden, you're going to have to take care of them or they won't grow. So you have to water them, give them sunlight, and that's thinking about them. And that's what coffee meditation is. You can do it all the time. You can do it in the morning too. In fact, I do.
Oh, good.
And then ripen fast. So I'll get employees this year, not next year.
Okay, can you give us some real life examples then, so that we can have a better idea of how to apply that to finding employees and keeping them?
Right. So this is how I've made my competitors my partners. Other people in this town, it's a small town, we don't have a large population, but we all need employees. So I've had to team up with my competitors and become their business partner in finding employees. Because the only way I'm going to get employees that I need is to help someone else get what they need. That's steps 1 and 2. So I meet with them and I devise ways that they can find an employee, like maybe a Craigslist ad. Those are conventional methods. Really, we have to plant them. And it's just helping someone else get what they need. And I've done that. And I'll tell you how I've done it. I haven't necessarily met with these people all the time in person, but I've known people who've needed employees. And what I've done for them is I've shared some of my employees. Like I found that my employees wanted more hours. So I was able to help another business have the same employee that helped me during the day, help them in the evening. So that's one way I've planted seeds for getting employees, by helping someone else get the labor they needed for their night shifts. Another way that I've planted seeds for employees is housing. Housing's a bit of a problem, and I do have a little bit of extra housing here. So I've actually housed some of my competitors' employees in the house I live in and in rental properties I have. I've given them super cheap deals so they can afford to live there, and it's enticing to come here. So that's really helped me plant seeds to have my own employees and have them have housing. And a third way is just really even working for them sometimes. Like if I'm overstaffed at my shop, maybe sometimes I actually go and work in their shops.
Wow.
Knowing that the help that I give them is planting more seeds for me to get all the help I need. That's 3 of the ways I've done it.
Okay, great. I have a couple questions for you. One of them is, it sounds like you're not necessarily meeting in a coffee shop once a week, like we talk about with the 4 steps. So you're using it, and maybe the people don't even know that you are using them as a seed planting partner?
That's true. Sometimes you have to use skillful means, because sometimes people don't want to hear about it, or they think this is some crazy idea that they don't want to talk about. Like, for instance, if we were planting seeds for me to get rid of my anger, I'm not going to go up to somebody and say, you're the angriest person I know. Let's talk about this. Let's meet every week. So same, if these people don't want, or they're not ready to accept that they're planting their life by what they think, do, and say, they might not be ready to hear it. So I use skillful means. I just help them get what they need. There are other people who are aware of it, and they're happy to receive the help, and then they return it back to me. But I do use skillful means for those people who aren't yet ready to try this system, and it still works for them. We're planting seeds all the time, regardless whether we know about it or not. We are doing it all the time.
That's really true. And right now, being in this time where businesses are facing a difficult challenge, where in our town, a lot of businesses are being told to close, and they have to close mandatorily by the government because of the virus that's spreading around the world. There's a lot of uncertainty in business right now. how do you think we can apply the seed system to this uncertain time? And as you were saying, it's challenging for me right now. I'm being challenged that what I think, say, and do in the past has created this circumstance right now.
Right.
That it's hard to hold that view when such a big problem is going on. So what advice can you give us about that, Janice?
Well, I had to give it some thought. And, you know, our nation's called this a pandemic. Our nation has called it a national disaster. So when I went to work this past Tuesday, there were no requirements that we needed to shut down our business. But I felt strongly, and intention is really important. So I realized that day when I went down there, what if I'm putting my employees at risk right now? What if I'm putting them at risk of exposure? You know, they're precious people. So I voluntarily closed my doors to protect not only my employees, but other people. And that intention, I know it'll create good results because I meant it to protect people. Secondly, you know, just because I close my doors doesn't mean that I don't have a responsibility for those people. They help me. I will continue paying them half time, not full time, but like for every 2 weeks of work that they'll get, that they're missing, they'll get paid for a full week. So they're getting, like, if it takes 4 weeks, they'll still get paid for 2 weeks. If it takes 6 weeks, they'll get paid for 3 weeks. So I'm still keeping them, as they're not working, I'm still paying them. So, because they still have bills. Their bills haven't stopped. My bills haven't stopped. And I have a responsibility to them. So I'm just going to go on for a minute, because another thing, there's a lot of fear going on. And I've eradicated the fear in myself because I know I'm planting the right seeds. If you're afraid of what's going to happen to the economy, then plant seeds to have prosperity. So Tuesday morning when I got up, I got online and I started contacting all my companies, and they're all just like terrified that everybody's canceling their orders, which people are. I went online, I modified some of my orders, but what I did was I went to all my suppliers and I said, ship me early, ship me now, give me a little dating, I'll take the product. So I know that I'm continuing to keep other people employed and keep other businesses active and prosperous, which, as we said, if the world is coming from me, from what I think, do, and say, and that's how I see a pen, then by thinking and having the intention to create prosperity for my employees and my suppliers, I'm planting the seeds for my own prosperity. And if we could all just try this in some way, experiment it with it in some small way, prove to yourself that works, you don't need to be afraid. That's my solution.
Yeah, that's really inspirational. Thank you, Janice. And I've also been hearing about a lot of businesses that are doing the same thing. A company that my daughter works for had a meeting with all their employees and said that they're committed to keeping their employees on, even if it means getting loans, small business loans, to keep things going. On my end, I am also trying to keep going with my financial commitments, and I have hired some people to come do some work in my yard. I'm doing a landscape plan on a house that I recently bought, and I thought briefly about just canceling all that so that I could save my money to have more money in 3 months from now in case business does totally dry up. And then I realized that is wrong thinking. That's not using the seed system, and it's not creating a world next week that I want, which is a generosity and making sure people have enough. So I'm going to go ahead with those plans. And at work, we're also focusing on how we can help our customers. We've sent out emails to everybody if they need food delivered, if they need any support, supplies brought to them. My real estate company is delivering to people to help them through this time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I guess I wanted to share a quick story, Janice, also about how you and I have inspired each other to use the seed system to have great employees. Janice and I were driving back from an event that we went to, and we were coming up with what 4-step plan we wanted to do moving forward into the future. And we both had a situation where we needed to work on employees. Janice always is working on employees, especially in between seasons. And I had a situation where I'd been given notice that someone was leaving, and it was my job to replace our office administrator. So Janice and I decided to work together and to be 4-step partners. We came up with a plan right there in the car. And we also came up with a plan of when we were going to meet. And then as soon as I got home, before I could even run an ad in the newspaper, I had the perfect employee fall into my lap, and she had every qualification that I could possibly want. And I didn't even have to go out and look for that employee. So I know that our 4-step plan worked. You and I have done a lot of 4-step plans together on various business things because we're both business owners.
Right.
And that's been a very wonderful relationship. And it's really fun to be doing this show together, The Art of Planting Your Life. We're both working hard to do that and to use the seed system in our life in a lot of different ways. What are we going to talk about on our next show, Janice?
I forgot. No, I did actually forget.
Well, I think we're going to talk about business prosperity, like financial freedom, which you started to touch on a little bit, about ways we can practice generosity in order to make ourselves more financially successful. In our next show, we're going to go more into that. We really appreciate you meeting with us here today online. And anything else you want to finish up with, Janice?
I just want to thank all of you for giving us this opportunity to share what we know has worked for us, because it'll work for you too. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Bye, Janice.
Bye, Alix.